Take the first step and the rest will
Good morning! Good morning on the West Coast. Good morning in the Central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. Y'all know who it is. Come on now. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Friends of ADOS TV channel. ADOS, we here. We have got an exciting show for you today, family. And let me tell you something. All the love I've received on that Fox Soul TV show, I'm lit. Family, I have not slept in a good 48 hours. I'm so excited that you were so excited over my enthusiasm. Because y'all know I was born to talk. Y'all know this, right? Y'all been over here rocking with Friends of ADOS TV for a good 3.5 months now. And y'all know I love to talk, and especially about ADOS. And y'all know I don't hold my tongue. I don't know if Fox is going to have me back, family, because I was too much flavor in their ear. Now, y'all know I can't be on the Fox digital station and not tell it like it TI is for my people, right? Y'all know I can't do it. I don't know how. And so the fact that y'all embraced all of my drama on that show, because I was fired up. I love y'all strong. I love y'all black. And y'all know what? I have found my tribe. That's what happens. You lose your little mind when you find your tribe. I can't tell you, I've been on Facebook for years. And it wasn't until the ADOS came into my life that folks even started liking what I had to share. Folks was rather dull. They didn't participate the way I wanted them to. But my family, y'all got my back, my front, my top, my bottom, my sides. And I'm just so thankful to you for supporting me in this way and just giving me the wind beneath my wings to keep speaking truth to power. We're getting these reparations. And you know the beauty of the show? I bought my daughter kicking and screaming. She didn't want to come. She's 15. You ever had a teenager? Oh my Lord. My mother promised this was coming for me. I wanted a son. I just wanted a little boy that would dote on me and just think I was his world. His world would revolve around mine. And my mother said, that is a girl all day long because the universe is just. You are going to get returned to you in spades what you put me through. Boy, she ain't never lied. How did I give birth to myself? So my daughter went to the Fox Soul, kicking and screaming, wouldn't even put on decent clothes. I'm telling you, she put on some leggies and it had a hole in it. I was just embarrassed. I said, I can't comb your hair in the car. We got to get to that studio by 6:45. You are not going to make me miss my debut. I know it wasn't the major TV station, but I knew some of my ADOS people would be watching. I knew they'd be in the audience. I was ready to drag her by her afro and throw her in that car, family. She was on my last nerve. So I'm pressing through 4 freeways to get there. Tiffany on the phone. Where you at? Look, I'm 4 minutes away. Are we good? And I mean, the love I received on that show, I felt like a celebrity. She felt like a celebrity. Thank you, Fox Soul. Y'all gave us so much love and attention. We really appreciate you for that. But anywho, my daughter had homework to do. She was stuck in the green room, and they had to bring us in. And she had to watch it on the big screen with all the other millennials who work on the show, or the guests that was waiting in the green room to come on the show. When I got to speaking, because she's used to my big old mouth, she's used to all that. But when she saw how the millennials, the fly girls that look like her, when she saw her, they were like, is that your mother? And she said, Mama, every time you spoke, they was cheering and screaming. You didn't hear her? I said, no, we were on the stage. The show was being taped. And my daughter got out her phone and started taping the TV monitor in the green room for her young teen friends. And I mean, they flooded her with comments. Your mom is on TV. I mean, she felt like a little mini celebrity. And in the end, she said, Mama, I'm so glad I went. I now understand the importance of what you do. She says, Mama, aren't you afraid you're going to have a target on your back? Do you know what you were on that stage doing? Yes, ma'am. ADOS is what I was doing. And I need her to understand that the fact that she's concerned about a target on my back and we in 2020 is why I do it. Right, family? Okay, enough of that. I want to bring in my guest. I'm so excited. Now, listen, we got an extra guest today because Mr. Chris Lodgson got me freaking out. But you know what I love about ADOS? That's Spencer Spain out of ADOS, Mississippi. His show ain't scheduled till next week, okay? I called that brother like, I can't find Chris. He ain't returned a call. I can't find him. I said, will you please come on my show? He's like, anything for you, sis. Oh my God, because he's on fire for ADOS in Mississippi. So we got two treats. Now, if we can't get it all in, that means Chris has got to come back. And I'm still bringing Spencer because Lord, I'm just excited about this show. So I got them both on here, family. I see you, Twist That. Thank you for being on the live. I see you. Who's that? Marvin Taylor Smith, ADOS. Yes, we here. Kevin Oliver, I see you. So I'm gonna bring them up and we're gonna get it in, family. Stand by. Oh Lord. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, only Chris Lodgson, organizer.
What's up, man?
Out of ADOS Sacramento. Give us some love in the chat, family. In a minute, we're going to be able to take calls. Now, right now,
what's up? What's going on? Angela.
Spencer done put on his suit, family. I mean, he had 30 minutes to get it going. And he is here. Stand by. He looking good, y'all. He's sharp. We got an ADOS t-shirt. We got Mother Africa. And we got ADOS Mississippi. Give the family some love, Spencer. Tell them hello.
How y'all doing this morning, the afternoon? I'm here. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to be here with Miss Angela. Grateful to talk about the topics, guys.
Now listen, family. Y'all know how it goes. If we get technical difficulty, the show must go on. I don't care. One of them will call in. This show is going. This train is moving out the station. Now, I don't have time to read y'all's amazing bios right now. I just want to take you one at a time to tell me, just tell my audience, because we got FBA coming over in here trying to, take a peek. They like to throw rocks at me sometimes, but they know I love them because it's lineage, people. Y'all can sit up here and be agents of chaos all you want. I love you strong. I love you black. You're one of us. And one day we will be together. So, Chris, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be the extraordinary organizer that you are.
Thank you. Well, first, I want to thank you, Angela, and I definitely want to say good morning to Spencer as well here from the West Coast. What's up, fam? But before I even say anything about me, I want to say what's up to you, Angela, and thank you and Chad and Friday and just an amazing job y'all did. I mean, I can't say enough. A round of applause. You all lit the organizer community on fire with your opinions on Fox Soul. You blew the roof off. You set the house on fire. I mean, it was an amazing show, just amazing demonstration of the passion and the conviction and the commitment that this movement, this ADOS movement, has been bringing up through millions of people across the country. So thank you for that. I can't say enough about what you guys did. Just the clarity, the intelligence, the strength I mean, it was an amazing show. You guys did an amazing job, and it was right on time. We're sort of starting off the year, right? And so we want to keep our momentum from last year. So like this was an amazing performance. I'm sure everyone in the audience agrees. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you. Like just first
Thank you.
you for your work. And then just a little bit about me. I'm just like you said, I'm an organizer here in Sacramento. And I've been organizing with the Sacramento ADOS group for almost a year now. We started back in February. We put a group on the ground, started doing meetups and stuff like that, starting doing advocacy and taking action politically for ADOS here in Sacramento, as well as working with other groups across the state and across the country. So that's me. I'm a soldier. I'm one of the soldiers in this fight for reparations and for a Black agenda. We will achieve reparations and a Black agenda, no matter what. That is, I am 100% convinced of that. But that's me. That's what I do. I tell people, I found my life's work. I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything else. All I want to do is work for reparations and a Black agenda. That's what I want to spend the rest of my life doing. So that's me.
Amen. Thank you so much for that. I feel the love. I'm telling you, you see these little bags under my eyes. It's just I can't sleep. And the family and the love, and the support, and just being able to be who I am. And yes, Chad and Friday were such a great balance. It was just the perfect trio up there dropping knowledge. And I'm telling you, I was going blank. There was so much to say. When I looked up, the hour was gone. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I am going to go back and button up some things where I looked over the tape and I was like, I wasn't really clear in some spots. So we'll get into that. But I thank you for your love, your support, your leadership. It is bar none. And we're going to get into some of that momentarily. Mr. Spencer Spain, Seane.
Yes,
Spencer Spain from ADOS, Mississippi. Man, I'm telling you, brother, we just spoke. He was doing some comments and he said something about being from Mississippi. I said, you need to be on my show. That's how many of my guests are recruited. Some of y'all out there are just sheer genius and brilliance. And when y'all come with that, knowing what you're talking about kind of energy, I just have to tell you to inbox me because you need to be on the show. You need a segment. Folks need to meet the ADOS all over the country that's putting in work. Mr. Spencer Spain, we spoke because I saw that you were from Mississippi. Yvette had just done a show on Parchman that broke my heart. Y'all know I'm just a cry baby. Y'all know it. Y'all know I'm emotional. And especially, on that In Living Color show, don't nobody better not say nothing bad about my ADOS. You remember Benita, whatever her name was. That's how I get. I mean, I take it personal because y'all feel like my real family. Okay. So I took Parchman very personal. And when I realized that Mr. Spencer Spain was from there, I said, you need to be on the show. And I'm actually going to do a special show with Mr. Spencer Spain because I don't think we can get in all of what he has to share in this segment. Mr. Spencer Spain, I called him on a dime and said, I can't find Chris. They done napped him. I don't know. And this brother, look at it. Family, do you see how sharp this brother got? Now, my daughter has no more excuses. This brother got clean. I mean, cleaner than the Board of Health in 20 minutes. This is the kind of love we have in this community. I can't thank you enough for being here, brother. I can't thank you enough for your yes. He had a frog in his throat like I had just woke him up.
That's because you did.
Please introduce yourself. Tell us all about you. I'll read your bio the next time, but I want to use most of the show to dig in. So please give us some of you, Mr. Spencer Spain.
Well, again, first off, I want to commend you and thank you and just say you were fantastic. You were magnificent in your defense, in your knowledge of ADOS. I mean, that's the kind of passion, that's the kind of love, that's how you articulate what we need, what we've gone through, and what we have to do going forward to right the ship and make it better for us. So I just wanted to say thank you again. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for how passionate you were, for how you defended us, and what you did to make a difference in ongoing what we're doing going forward. Now,
Oh, thank
I'm from,
you.
no problem, Angela. Now, I'm from Mississippi. I was mostly born and raised here. Been educated here. Went to the Jackson State University. Got my engineering degree there. I've worked as an engineer for most of my life, most of my professional life, and it's been a great thing and a not so great thing, right? So you're able to see just how difficult it is for a young brother in the engineering field to really thrive and stride upwards, right? You're gonna have to be something other than what you are, and that's a male trying to be the very best he can be in that field. Now, granted, I'm not hurting. I'm not living the worst life, but I see how others live, and I'm like, I graduated with 9 engineers in my field in my graduation class, and only 3 got
Wow.
professional careers. So that's the kind of thing that's always bothered me about me going forward and maybe leaving some of my friends behind. And then when ADOS came about, I knew that was speaking to me. It was speaking to me because it doesn't matter if 1 or 2 of us make it, if the rest of us are struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna
You got
lose who
that
you are.
right.
You're gonna
Mm.
lose who you are as a person. You're gonna lose who you are as a culture if only 1 or 2 of you are going to make it. So I just felt like again, astounding on what you did was fantastic. I currently work as an engineer. I'm not, not hurting in that respect, but I wanted to become more political. And, teaming up with someone like you, given the opportunity to learn from you, learn from Chris, and being able to go into Mississippi and make a change. And now that we've got our group is growing, the ADOS of Mississippi is growing a bit more.
Yeah.
We're happy. Hopefully, going forward, we'll be able to get more people to come along, and so we can start changing out some of these individuals who are not doing what they're supposed to do in Congress, who are not doing what they're supposed to do in the Senate. And so I'm just here to learn. I'm here to give out my opinions. I'm here to, again, astound upon what Chris said, astound upon what you're saying.
Thank you.
Amen. Well, I can't thank you guys enough for being here on the live. And you're absolutely right. We all have work to do. I do want to make a special shout out and recognition to ADOS SoCal. We're in the rebuilding stages, and I know they felt like, well, LA just took you over, and they were like aggravated. I said, well, y'all should have been there in the audience. Anyway, I know that we've got Tara Perry, who's running for office. She's running for city council, District 8. And so she was in the trenches. We got a new brother, Comey Parrott, out of Chicago. I want to big up and shout out him because he's putting in work for her campaign. That's why him and his wife couldn't make it through 4 freeways to get from San Pedro over to the show. And I want to shout out C.O. Thomas, who is another firecracker. She is like the sanity in the group because I'm off the chain.
No, you saying too.
Tara's a millennial. Comey is on fire because he's got organizing experience and fundraising and campaign, all that. It's just come together lovely for the ADOS SoCal. So I do want to have everyone know that that's who I was on that stage representing. Okay. I love ADOS LA. We've had our challenges, and I'm going to segue and let Chris speak about that because, we all are big personality types, right? We all got these type A personalities, and we all got ways in which we present and what we bring to the table. And sometimes that mix a little like oil and water, right, family?
A little bit.
You don't need to fall out, but you fall out, and then you decide after you see FBA and B1 throwing chairs, well, hell, I better get along with my family because you become like brothers and sisters, right? I better get along with my family because the bigger picture here is reparations and a Black agenda. I can't. And thank you, Pastor Reverend Sherry James from Up Church, who told me if you don't get out your feelings and get on that Fox show and demand, and to let the world know about your cause and get over these petty issues, you're losing a major opportunity. Get over
Yeah.
yourself. So, Chris, I want you to speak to that because you are an organizer extraordinaire. Can you talk about the infighting, how to manage through that? Can you talk about
Sure.
outside groups of throwing chairs?
Yeah. So, well, one, you raise a good point, right? So, many of us very new to organizing. Some of us are not, but some of us are, right? And we're doing something that really hasn't been done before, right? We've taken on the task of picking up Dr. King's last fight for reparations and for a targeted Black agenda, right? MLK, we're coming up on MLK Day now, and we know that reparations and the Black agenda were specifically spoken about by Dr. King, reparations and a Black agenda. So we've all taken it upon ourselves to pick up that fight and actually, take that, ball across the finish line, right? But in that process, right, we've got a lot of big personalities. We've got a lot of great, strong individual ADOS, right? And there are going to be clashes. That is absolutely to be expected. A lot of that, to be honest, is healthy, right?
Right.
It's sort of iron sharpens iron and steel sharpens steel, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
a lot of that is healthy, right? As long as we can remember, one, what you just said, Angela, that we are all fighting for reparations and a Black agenda. So nothing's more important than that. So nothing that I feel, individually or any personal, thing individually is bigger than what this collective is fighting for, and that's reparations and a Black agenda. One thing that I love about what Yvette says and Tone says is that this movement is about the collective. It's about all of us. It's not about individual gain. So, that's something to pay very, very close attention to and to remember. The second thing to remember is that this movement is very young. We're very young in our organizing. We're very young in our advocacy. I say we're in our infancy, to be honest, right? Many people just started hearing about, ADOS, the hashtag, and sometime in 2019, maybe, early 2019. But we're very young in our fight. So expect that there are going to be, clashes, and expect that there are going to be, disagreements here and there. A lot of that can be healthy if it's managed appropriately. And also remember too, I tell myself this, that you have to love your people if you want to lead your people, right? So, and I think you had said that you have to love your people if you want to lead your people, and I also try to remind folks that how we treat each other matters, right? So how you treat your fellow colleagues and your fellow soldiers matters, right? And it matters not just for the work that we're doing, but it matters for the signal and the example that we're setting for those on the outside who may want to join the movement, right? So those are things to keep in mind. But overall, I am 100% confident in the strength of the work that you guys are doing down in LA and in SoCal. I am totally confident in the work that folks are doing in other parts of the country. I am more confident now than I was even in 2019 that this is going to be successful. We have some amazing, talented organizers and activists, people from all walks of life. You guys did an amazing example of that and an amazing show of that on Fox Soul, right? You had, just the variety of talent, right? With you, with the passion, and Friday with the passion and the knowledge, and Chad with the cool, calm, collective, surgical strike. Now multiply that 3 by 10,000, right? Because that's how we have examples of you in over 30 different states across the country. This movement is growing. I can't let out the operational sort of details, right? But what I can say is that in the second half of 2019, particularly in the last quarter of 2019, so that's October, November, and December. So right after the conference, right? We saw an explosion of new ADOS activity on the ground nationwide. That means more new groups grew, more new groups sprouted, more new groups seeded in the last quarter of 2019 than in the first 3 quarters of 2018. And in the first few weeks of 2020, we've seen that continue. Okay, this is only growing. Okay, and so all the other stuff aside, we're all on the forward march.
Yes, we are. I thank you so much for that. And you're absolutely right. I really wanted you to get into that, not to be petty, Betty, but I do need people to understand, because lots of folks are timid about getting involved with our movement because of the infighting, because of the other outside agents of chaos. And I needed you to explain that, because it helped me when you explained it to me to get perspective.
Yeah,
and
well, let me say one more thing, if you don't mind. No, just one more thing to add to that. So, politics is messy. Okay, politics is messy. It's supposed to be messy, to be honest, because the stakes couldn't be higher, right?
Exactly.
We're fighting for
very existence.
Our very existence. I couldn't have said it better myself, right? So you can expect that we're going to go to the mat, right? Because our very lives depend on it. Now, obviously, you want to be, you want to make sure that you're moving in a healthy way, and that even if there's disagreement, that it's healthy, constructive disagreement, and not destructive disagreement, right? But as long as that's managed well, I have no problems.
Chris.
Yes, sir.
Chris,
what's going on?
Was the Tea Party, when they got Ted Cruz into Congress, were they petty? Were they messy? Were they
petty,
nice?
Messy, dirty? You name it. Okay, and they were effective.
Yes, and they were effective. And so
Exactly.
my thing is, okay, it gets to a point where you have to start saying, okay, how nice can you be before you just are laying down doormat? And you can't continue to be a doormat. You have to speak with clarity. You have to articulate yourself, but you must bring that passion in order to get things accomplished. That's what I mean. I've known Angela for probably a year now, just watching what she posts and agreeing and loving what she posts, and to see her finally live and to see her. You just don't understand. Like, that's something I'm telling you, I'll get right beside you wherever you are. And I hope somebody come over there to you. You don't understand. That's the thing I am now. Like, I done seen it. And it's not for just me. It's not for me. It's for those around me. It's for your children, my children. It's not for just the individual. And anyone speaking as an individual in the Black community is not for us. It's just that simple. Okay? If you don't have that passion, if you're not speaking with the clarity and articulating and have the knowledge and doing it in a way that makes people get behind you, you're just going to be an individual talking. I just don't, I'm just saying that from the jump. And so for me, you're right. You have to get to a point where you say, all right, you're right, but this is how I feel, and this is I'm not going to move off my square. Like you best say, I'm not moving. You can say what you want to say, but I'm going to repeat my talking point to a point to where you're going to understand what I'm saying. So, I agree. You want to be civil. You don't want to have infighting. You want people to get behind you. And I don't see why anyone that is a native Black American descendant of slavery will not get behind the ADOS movement. It's only based off of fear.
It's shocking.
It's shocking. And so you're so afraid of what this individual at your job may think about you, instead of making it better for your children and saying what really needs to be said and doing what really needs to be done. You're going to just keep wallowing and putting your head in the sand? No, I'm not made that way. I played Division I football. I wasn't scared to put my face in a hat into anybody at any time. If I had to tackle you, if I had to play, I'm just not made that way. And I'm saying,
ladies, I got to dump ladies. Do you see where the real alpha men are in the ADOS movement? Now, I get hard pressed to find this down here in LA. I know they're here because we got Chad. Okay, we got a few others.
They there.
These brothers. Woo, I'm over here. Do you feel the love, ladies, from our ADOS Black men? These are our soldiers, ladies. They are out here Y'all better join just to be around their energy. Let it fall off on you so you can be a magnet for this kind of excellence. Do you understand me, ladies? They here.
So
Don't
much.
believe it. Don't believe the say they not out here. These two are spoken for. You can't have them. But I'm saying there's a lot of these kind of brothers in this movement, and I am just thrilled to be amongst you kings. Thank you for that. Go ahead, Chris.
Angela, yeah, let me. I know. Well, one, thank you for that. Thank you for those words. But I actually wanted to thank Spencer also for his words and just follow up and sort of underscore what he said. So on Fox Soul, Friday actually made a great point. Right after you made a great point, Angela, when she said that a lot of our people have been scared. Okay.
Correct.
When Friday talked about how the killings of Malcolm and Martin and Medgar and just the destruction of our leadership and organizing class, and from Fred Hampton to everyone, right? A lot of us have been sorry, I had to have her.
No worries, baby. I know ADOS enjoys jumping.
Yeah, we're all super busy. A lot of us have been scared, right? And so we're bringing that to this, to this fight too. But also, it's the case that we reflect the brokenness of our communities in many ways too, and so that plays itself out, and you should expect to see that play itself out in our organizing and in our activist work, right? You should expect to see a reflection of some of that same brokenness, and that's actually part of why we do this political work, right? So that we can heal in that way too, and so that way we can get stronger in that way too. So I just wanted to make that point that we should expect some of this, if you want to call it infighting, or if you want to call it, disagreement, right? But we should expect some of that because we do reflect the brokenness of our own communities, and we are meeting our community where they are, right? We're not going for the professional, politician, political operative class of folks who have been getting it wrong all these many years anyway, right? We're going for our real ADOS people living real lives, bringing real trauma, right, to this work, right? Real life, real trauma to this work, and you should expect to see that played out in the work itself. It doesn't mean that we're doing the wrong thing or we're going in the wrong direction. It just means that we are the children of our ancestors.
Correct.
Amen. And to your point, Chris, when people call family out of their name, I give them a couple of opportunities in my Facebook feed and let them know that's not what I do. I am the love machine. I am the lover of ADOS. Like we from the same mom and daddy. That's how I love y'all, right?
That's
and
right.
Then you have to get it out of there, because you're right. We are broken from that. Everything ties back to our enslavement.
Yes,
from colorism to just these little petty things that grow up and become inflamed and flying off the handle and being control freaks, or whatever it is that you're facing and you're trying to overcome. It's being played out in the movement, and that's why I had to speak on it, because I don't want anyone to be afraid of that, and I want you to always keep ADOS in mind when you're growing through the growing pains. Keep ADOS in mind, but I don't allow it in my feed. I literally have to erase people because I am very guarded about the psychoses of the ADOS family. I want to protect it. I'm nobody's B, I'm nobody's whatever, these names I've been called, and I'm not going to tolerate it. It's emotionally abusive, and we're overdue to get back to this kind of love that I received from day one of just finding my tribe, which you put me in touch with Tiffany, and then that's how it was all born for me back in June of last year. And it proceeded all through the conference when I met you guys personally. Spencer, did you want to jump in and have anything to add before I transition to the next?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to let you guys know that only one group is going to be right. And which group is that? The one with the knowledge, the one with the data, The one that's showing you what's going on are the ones that are just talking. And at the end of the day, if someone can't show you why they are right or what their talking points are, if they can't show you the data, they are just talking to you to manipulate you. Now, Tone and Yvette have shown us the data. It is there. It is in your face. You gonna put your head in the sand, or are you gonna get out here and try to make a difference? I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be a part of this. I'm willing to do whatever you guys need. Angela said she called me, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of just waking up, but I'll get ready for you, boo. What you need me to do? Because I can get behind anybody that's that passionate, anyone that has that knowledge and willing to keep that going. So I just, again, I want to just say, like, with the infighting, with all that, only one group is going to be right. And the one with the knowledge base, the one with the data, the group that has that is going to win in the end. So let's get behind the one with the data, guys.
ADOS, ADOS, ADOS.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me calm down. Okay, so back to the sub. Oh, child. Oh, y'all, we at 35. I have talked too much. Listen, if y'all give me a few more minutes, because I always shout out where you're from in the chat. I see y'all showing out in the chat. I think the chat's gonna grow today because folks saw me on Fox, so I think they actually gonna wake up and join the show.
Let's go.
Okay, but I do. Okay, tell me where you're herald from in the chat, because I may need you guys just a little bit over. I got to get to my daughter's track meet. ADOS life is happening, but I always read the comments and the questions in the chat because that's my, they're part of the show. My audience is a part of the show until I get set up where they can call in like Yvette. I'm not that fancy yet, but it's on the way in 2020. We're not playing.
Let's go.
Let me go back to the show and we'll do a little talking points and then we'll jump into some Parchman, because I feel like, Chris, we kind of did our segment, and I want to tie this in because I want you to speak on what that organizer, that Reggie from Boston, don't you love him, family? He was in the organizer circle. I had just spoke to Spencer in the text. I said, you need to be on my show. And I said, the organizer circle has got to come from Mississippi and break the back of that traditional systemic oppression and racism on my people. They have to let my people go to Mississippi, okay? I was out about Parchman.
You will not harm ADOS and get away with it. You should know. This is a message to any forces that are working against ADOS anywhere. You will not harm ADOS and get away with it. Period. That day is over. Our generation, and I'm calling our generation. I'm technically a millennial, but I'm calling all of us the ADOS generation, right? Our generation will not allow what's been going on in the past, and that's Parchman included. So anyway, I don't want to distract.
I would like to speak to that point. So while working for another firm here in Mississippi, I was doing some research. ADOS makes up 37% of the population in Mississippi. Okay, 37%. We make up 65% of all jailed prison individuals in this state. And the leaders, the people that be, the pastors, the politicians, they just don't even address it. And that's the most mind-boggling thing to me. And it just goes to show you the mentality of the people here. Those in power don't care. Those that are not in power are trying to just keep their head down and not work. And don't want to do the political work to make it better. They're not addressing it. So I'm here to be a part of whatever change needs to be done. I'm here to grow in my knowledge base of politics. I want to be a part of that change. So I'm here to help, baby. That's what I'm here to say.
I am so grateful to you for that. And I tell you, it goes back to that trauma, right, family? It goes back to what Chris said earlier. Sometimes you just get deathly afraid and you're just so happy to be alive. But you know what I had to decide when I joined this movement? And it took me a while. I had been praying over my passion and my purpose. I knew I was born to talk. And from a child, I have loved our people because my father gave me a sense of who I was as a beautiful, Black, proud princess. Okay. I had my natural going. Sometimes y'all see me wear my natural. Today is braids. You never know what you get. I'm an artist. Okay. At my core, I come from the theater, television, film community, although my degree is in finance. The bottom line is my daddy taught me about my Blackness. We waved the red, black, and green flag. I went to the school on Independence Day in my dashiki with my natural, got dragged to the principal's office by Mr. Leslie. You know, I was always, just turned up for my beautiful people. I just cannot contain myself. But there was a time when I realized this is not working in white corporate America. If I don't put James Arthur in a box somewhere, I will never work, which means I will never eat. So I had to learn to put on a different face. And I got afraid. And I kept saying, okay, God, I'm just going to focus on myself. If I focus on myself and I focus on being a success, it will lift up all the race and I'll be that credit. And if each one of us just focus on ourselves, we'll get there. But guess what I found out, family? White supremacy is bigger than self-individualism and bootstrapperism. It's bigger. So I started watching that in 2014 because I was dumbfounded. How in the world did I vote for Barack Obama for 2 terms and my people still on the bottom? And this man had the unmitigated gall to say no to my reparations. Are you kidding me? Do you know what you just set the stage for? Every president hereafter to say no and for them to do exactly what they're doing now. Running from Jamie and Fowler on that microphone, running from reparations, running from a Black agenda, and then they had the unmitigated gall to think that impeaching Trump is how they get our vote. Give me a break, my people are on fire. But anywho, I'm speaking to the fear and how I had to get there, family. I prayed. I found Yvette and we kept asking, what's the solution? What's the solution? She kept pointing us back to ourselves. And I prayed because I knew in that moment I would be potentially a target to get involved in this movement. My baby girl said, Mama, can't you just donate? Why do you have to put your face on this movement? Why do you have to form the movement? Why are you forming chapters? Why are you speaking? Don't you understand what happened to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King? What if they come for you, Mama? She said this to me. And I said, the fact that you have to say this to me in 2019 is why I have to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to say, family, in Mississippi, they are afraid, Spencer. But I thank God for people like you in this ADOS movement who are not afraid. You have to be willing. You either stand up for something or you die on it. Do you hear me? And I'm here to tell you, I'd rather die standing up for ADOS than to live in the silence and the degradation and to see us just become extinct.
Yeah.
And that's what we got. They can't kill all of us. And the ADOS movement growing at the rate that it is, they have got to give us what we demand in exchange for that vote or else.
Well, let me say one thing. Just on, so, one, I think it's important for us to be talking about Parchman. I think it's important for us to be talking about reparations and a Black agenda, right? And let me make a comment on, our role or some of our roles as, Black media, right? Like focusing on specifically on things that matter to us is important. So I want to thank you for raising Parchman, to the surface here. Yvette Carnell, who many of us have been doing class with. I call it class, every Monday, Wednesday, for 2 hours each time, twice a week for 3 years now, 4 years almost, right? Just getting our political education. Her last show, she spoke about Parchman, and she spoke about how you could draw a straight line from slavery, Jim Crow, to what you saw, what we saw, last week, or what we've been seeing, over so many years right now with this prison, and then also, prisons, outside of Mississippi as well. I think even here in California, the governor of California has just announced that he's looking for some sort of insight and oversight and accountability into California jails based on what we've seen coming out of Mississippi, right? So, this is something that, I think is important for us to focus on. The ADOS agenda at ADOS101.com does talk about mass incarceration. It does talk about the need for real reform, right? And not fake reform, but real prison reform, or I call it real prison transform, right? Because that's what we need is a transformation, right? But this is on our agenda, making sure that ADOS who are either going into the prison system, are treated fairly, treated the way that they're supposed to be treated, and right, humanely, and then actually given the resources that they need on the other side of it, right? Like that's also on our agenda.
Well, again,
Yeah,
the reason why you have these, and again, Yvette, and what you were saying is completely correct. It's just an extension of Jim Crow and them just finding a reason to put us in prisons for whatever. And now you're looking at 2019, 2020. The economy in Mississippi is always ranked last for a reason, or next to last, or second from last, or third for last for a reason. And the only way to make up for that is to find black bodies and put them in prisons, okay? That's what they're doing that for. And again, if we don't have our leaders, the ones that we call leaders, the pastors, the politicians, those we put in those power positions, not speaking to that, they wonder why the churches are getting smaller and smaller. They wonder why. And it's like you don't want to call out what needs to be called out to begin with. We got to call out what needs to be called out. We have to then start to educate again about what goes on in these prisons, what goes on, how they get there, the cost of just basic a speeding ticket. A speeding ticket in Mississippi, $250. I want y'all to understand that. And so, like most of us in Mississippi can't really afford that. That's a bill for us, for most of us. Yeah. And so, like at the end of the day, it's all about educating those. When you do get resources, you got to kind of live conservatively. You don't have to spend like what the others spend on. Don't pretend to be something you're not. Save that money for your political gain, and in the end, you'll get more in return. That's how it works. But you have to have that vision. You have to have the vision of an Angela Nirvana. You have to have that vision of Tone. You have to have that vision. Yeah. And if you don't have it, but that comes with the education. And the more people we get educated on about what's going on in ADOS and why we need to have reparations and why it needs to be done now, the more, again, in the end, the data will win. And more people are going to flock to us because we're coming from, again, a loving, a more understanding background than those just talking back and forth. So
yes.
One thing to add, let me just add really, really quickly, just to follow up on because
we here. Y'all can give me a little more time.
Yeah, no, and
you ain't got to rush, baby. You ain't got to rush. I'm here.
You're right.
Right on. And thank you. Once again, so Yvette also talked on her show about Parchman last week. She mentioned that there hasn't been, and I'm hopefully I'm quoting this right, but there hasn't been a single Black or ADOS statewide elected official in Mississippi for a very long time, very, very long time. Now, you can argue whether or not we can have the argument about political representation versus effective political representation, right? Sometimes when you have Black statewide elected officials, you don't get much better results anyway, right? But I think it's important to make that point and to say that was actually deliberate, right? And Yvette went through the receipts on her last show, but that was actually deliberate. There was a plot, and I don't want to call it a conspiracy or a plot. I mean, it was just sort of open, saying, hey, we don't want any ADOS, doing any statewide legislating, any statewide, we don't want ADOS with power in Mississippi. Okay, like
Correct.
that's what it really boiled down to. And so for the folks in Mississippi, one of the things that's great about this movement is that we actually are action oriented, right? We do our political education, and then that informs our action. So one of the things that I'm going to be talking with some of the folks in Mississippi about, and I know they're already having these conversations, is about how, from a policy perspective, and from the politics, but also from the policy perspective, what is a clear, good, effective solution so that we never, ever, ever, ever have a Parchman again? Not just where it is in Mississippi, but all of the jails in Mississippi, all of the prisons in Mississippi, that we never, ever, ever have to see images of. I saw what I thought were dead bodies.
Thank you.
May I,
In
may I,
yeah,
may I interject for 1 second?
please.
Look, you guys are very much open to learning and understanding different ideas. Do you guys have any family members from Mississippi? Like, do you guys talk to them if you do have any? And the reason why I asked that question is because the mentality of the ADOS here, you're gonna have. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying it's impossible to redirect their thinking. I'm not saying that. But what's going on and what's going on for so many years is the fear in that has been established here. A lot of times it's inherited, and I'm like, to me, I have never looked at. You gonna have to be either stronger than me or very much more intelligent than me, and much more intelligent than me means showing me something I don't know or don't understand, and I will be impressed with you. Just being white doesn't make me impressed with you. I will overtalk you or talk down to you or outlift you because I'm a very strong individual. So at the
Yes,
end of the
you
day,
are.
I'm not trying to
Thank
say
God.
that that's something that that makes me somebody special. But that means I have the confidence to walk in my truth and be who I am around anyone. And
Right.
so you don't find that a lot, especially with the adult individuals over the age of 50 here. They're not willing to go out and say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done in order to make the real change. They want to put their head in the sand. So again, the group is growing in Mississippi. The ADOS
Yeah.
Mississippi group is growing. But out of all the black people, let's say if it's 37%, it's 1 million people in Mississippi. That means that's like 370,000 black people. Only about 85 people are in the group. And now I talk with people, I invite people, and they still don't want to join. And I'm like, man, okay, I just need to keep at it. And again, to see Miss Angela, to see Yvette, to see Tone not give up, to see Chris meeting you, to
Yeah.
see you guys stay strong, it keeps me going. So when Angela told me she needed me in an hour, and I didn't have anything going on, like I said, I'm willing to put whatever I have on the line in order to see a difference. Because I'm not thinking about myself. I'm thinking about
Spencer.
others.
Spencer, let me so one thing, let me say a couple of things. One of the great things about this movement is that I think it's the first national civil rights movement. Okay.
Right,
And I say that based on the fact that I read, like a lot of us read, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community?
right,
Um,
right,
Dr. King's last book. And in it, he says that the civil rights movement was actually the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s was actually built as a regional movement, a southern movement,
right,
right? And it just had national implications, but it wasn't originally designed like that. This is the
right,
first national and digital, if you ask me, civil rights movement. So one of the things, one of the advantages that affords us is that we get to work across state lines like this,
right.
right? So what I wanted to say to you is that one, I'm going to be connecting with you directly online and offline after this
Let's go.
to support your work. So we can support your work from way over here in California, right? And I'm sure others in the chat are from other parts of the country are willing to support as well. The second thing I want to say is that I've heard similar things from folks in Mississippi and other parts of the South. I've heard the same kinds of fears being expressed from folks in South Carolina, from folks in Louisiana, from folks in Mississippi, from folks in parts of the South where the KKK was very, very strong at one point, where lynchings were very, very prevalent, where there were assassinations and murders and bombings, where we experienced the terrorism mostly, those are the places where I hear this kind of fear being expressed. It's not it's a problem for us, right? And it's something that we need to work very, very, very strongly to combat. But it goes back to what Friday Jones said on Fox Soul on last week or earlier this week. We have been scared. A lot of us have been scared into submission, right? And part of our work as organizers and activists, and I want to just and give you some encouragement here as an organizer and as an activist, and you too, Angela. Part of our work, right, is to break that. Okay,
Right.
part of our work is going to be is going to be working to rebuild courage in our people. They say courage is the most important virtue, right? Because without it, you can't do any of the other virtues, right?
You
So,
can't.
Amen, Chris.
Before we are going to be able to do what we need to do, we're going to have to break our fear, right? And it doesn't mean that we're going to, doesn't mean that we won't suffer, failures and setbacks and all that stuff. But it just means that we're gonna have to not be scared to fail, right? Because if you're scared to fail, you're absolutely gonna fail.
You're not going to succeed.
That is so true. Well, also, Spencer has expressed an interest to run for office.
I'm willing to do.
There you go.
To do whatever it needs to be done. Benny Thompson has been in our district for forever and has not done any. To me, has not done much of anything to really make a difference in the Hinds County district because it's gotten worse in Jackson. So I'm willing, whatever you guys need. I just want to be educated. I want to be. What's the process? Again, I know you can look it up. I know I could do more to look up, but I'm just learning as much as I can before I stick my foot out there and do what I need to do, because he needs to be gone. And my agenda is going to be reparations for ADOS. Just like Ted Cruz was all about the Tea Party and whatever they wanted, I am strictly going in. Don't ask me to vote for nothing if it doesn't have reparations attached to it. Just like AOC don't want to vote for whatever she don't want to vote for, and she can abstain for. I'm going to only be up there talking about the reasons why, showing them the data and saying, tell me why I am wrong. And you can't show me no data to support you. Why you right? I don't want to hear it. So let's go.
Absolutely.
So we just got a candidacy announced here on friend of ADOS.
Well, again, I'm just saying.
And Spencer, you couldn't be amongst a better family to help you get it. You got me on the Friends of ADOS TV. My audience is growing. Chris is knowledgeable. Reg, I mean, the organizer circle's got some heavy duty kind of hitters that can help you in the knowledge on how to go about getting you ready for the race and choosing what you want to run for. Okay. So I'm just ecstatic that we can come together in this community and primary all of these people that are afraid or they're paid off to not speak about an ADOS agenda and reparations. All of them need to be replaced. All of them need to be primary.
Right.
So thank you for that. And we will definitely connect you guys. Also, I want to announce that I am a co-founder of the Friends of ADOS Super PAC. And we are ready to put this board together because we've got money to raise so that we can start launching national support ads, local support ads, state support ads for the candidates that are running under the ADOS banner. I saw a beautiful flyer that Marcus Chapman out of ADOS LA put together of all of the beautiful ADOS candidates running throughout the country. Okay, so I need people with lobbying and fundraising experience. My ideal dream team is comprised of all of the ADOS chapter heads. And I want to say right now that this will not consume you. We're talking about 2 to 4 meetings top, maybe 1 a quarter. And we'd like to have an annual conference that aligns with the ADOS conference, right? Like, so if they're meeting October 2nd through 3rd, We want the board of the ADOS Super PAC to meet, say, a couple of days before or a couple of days on the end of that conference so that we're still all in one place and making that happen. If you have fundraising, interest, lobbying experience, and you'd like to be considered and put in an application, could you please email me at ajones@friendsofados.com. As a matter of fact, look at the website. Mr. Marlon Aldridge out of Dayton, Ohio. He's the one, thank you. He's the one that helped me to turn off the airplane mode. I was stressed out. He helped me to get it going over here. I thank him so much for all. He knows what he means to me. But he is the co-founder of the ADOS Super PAC, and he's put together a beautiful website. And our goal is to get photos from all the chapter heads and have hieroglyphic links. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You have your links to your websites where when they look at your bio and look at your picture, they click on a link from the Super PAC site, friendsofados.com, and be redirected to join your movement and to get more information. Folks, we are on the move. We ain't playing with this, okay? You see
Very serious.
Kind of armor we are being led by. You see the weight. You see the weight of these brothers getting all hands on deck, pushing past their own individualism for collective upliftment. That's what we are on. And if that's what you are on, join the movement. So once again, if you'd like to be considered for a board seat, it's time to get to work. There's a lot of things that need to be done to just get the foundation laid, but we can't do the rest without votes, okay? It's the Friends of ADOS. So the government is going to be heavily scrutinizing us. And Marlon and I can't pick up a phone to make a dial to raise money without that board, because they will be watching. That's once again, ajones@friendsofados.com. If you've got fundraising, lobbying, or just an interest in being on the board and you come with some experience and you got a passion for ADOS, that's a must. You must love us strong and Black. Don't come over here if you tiptoeing in it. And to love us strong and Black means to be in this fight no matter what. To be in this fight no matter who is being an agent of chaos. To be in this fight no matter who you disagree with within the organization. You have got to love ADOS, strong and Black family. ajones@friendsofados.com. Okay, so we're at an hour. I'm going to be bringing Spencer back on a show next week. Was there anything else you wanted to add before I go to the comments? The chat is lit. I have to go through. If y'all can talk while I find the chat from the top, okay? Go ahead, guys. Keep talking.
Yeah. So the only one thing I want to add, and this, I'll wrap it up here, is just to talk a little bit about 2020, right? So the sort of a forward thinking, right? What's coming in 2020. So definitely, like I was saying before, right? Just the continued growth of the movement, on the ground and in the air. I call online in the air. So the continued growth of the movement and the continued strengthening of the movement. But in terms of, we are in an election year. Right now, we're 23 days away, if I'm not mistaken, 23 days away from the first votes in the 2020 Democratic primary. February 3rd, we will see Iowa go to do its, Iowa caucus, which is a little bit different than a primary. We're all going to get a good education on what a caucus is in the next three weeks, I'm sure. But here in California, we start voting by mail the same day, pretty much. So the first votes, in the 2020 primary are about 23 days away, right? In 2019, we saw the movement advocate nationally, in two different ways, generally, for reparations. One, we took what I call the electoral way, right? We saw the likes of Jamie and Fowler and a bunch of other folks pulling up on presidential candidates, sticking the phone in their face and putting them, on the hook for supporting reparations and a Black agenda. We also saw a second sort of approach, which was ADOS all over the country, going into their local electeds' offices and doing legislative visits and actually lobbying on reparations legislation, right? So I think in 2020, you're going to see a continuation of that sort of two-pronged approach. It's I think had some tremendous successes so far, right? We've seen, we successfully forced congressional hearings on HR 40. We successfully forced the first Senate companion bill to HR 40, which is S 1083. We forced over 100 new co-sponsors on HR 40, the most in history, 3 times the most in history ever. So we've seen some real success in terms of making the government start to move in the direction that we want it to move in, right? And I think you're going to see a continuation of that in 2020. So I just wanted to make sure that we, did sort of touch base on where we are with respect to the reparations fight nationally and where we're going.
Wonderful. I thank you for that. I'm going to go to the comments because folks, we got some heavy hitters up in here. I see folks I've been trying to connect with on Facebook. Marguerite, she still ain't answered my friend request, but she here on the live today, y'all. She in the chat. She's talking about the fear is real. Something just happened. Okay. I saw Twist that mentioned about the Comcast. Do we have any updates about the Comcast?
Yeah. So, Comcast. If you don't know, Comcast attacked our civil rights early in 2019. To be honest, they filed petition with the Supreme Court to take down the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 1981. They want to make it harder for ADOS businesses and ADOS entrepreneurs and ADOS professionals to sue if they're being discriminated against. And so, we launched a nationwide boycott late in 2019. We had amazing ADOS from the DMV area and from New York and Philly and Jersey, North Carolina and Atlanta, and all descend on Washington, D.C., November 13th, 20. The case right now is in is in the Supreme Court's hands. We won't see a decision for that case, if I'm not mistaken, until June of this year at the earliest. So right now, we are continuing to push the boycott, right? So if you have Comcast, cancel it. Don't renew your subscription. Tell your friends, family, and coworkers to do the same, right? Comcast should also be broken up. So I'm encouraging my elected officials to support Bobby Rush from Chicago, who is advocating for Comcast to be broken up by congressional act. Because if you attack civil rights for ADOS in this country, you should not be able to do business in America, point blank, period. Especially, and this sort of is near to my heart because most of my organizing work here in Sacramento is around organizing Black-owned businesses. So I'm especially sort of sensitive to the fact that this is a very bad thing for Black-owned businesses, for ADOS-owned businesses, if Comcast is successful. So boycott Comcast. We won't have a decision till June, and we'll see. Comcast still has the opportunity to withdraw, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they will, but it's in their best interest to do so.
Absolutely, because we have 40% subscribership with Comcast. And it's in their best interest. If we hit them deep in their pockets, family, we really have to learn to live without some creature comforts, family. You have to give up some things to get some things, right? Like even with this show up, vote down that I was explaining, that had the host on the show, damn near having a coronary. It is what it is. Y'all know what I'm to do. The bottom line is we've got to be able to lose to win, family. And so what I'm saying you can do is, that's how I'm communicating with you right now. This is my mobile hotspot. It gives me internet. This internet powers my TV. I can sync my Fire Stick to it. I can sync a bazillion devices to this hotspot, you want to make sure that you're with a service that has a strong tower near you so that you don't miss a beat when it comes to being able to use your internet when you go on the boycott for Comcast, okay? Remember, boycotting Comcast means boycotting its subsidiaries too. So you want to check with your cable company to make sure they aren't a subsidiary and Comcast is being fed that way. So this is $15 a month. You can save hundreds per year. I want to say about $1,200 on up per year to get rid of that internet and do without a little creature comfort. Get yourself a little Amazon Fire Stick. This is like about $50 or $75 one time. You don't pay this every month like you do when you do your cable bills. It's charging you like $200 a month, right? Okay, so you can use this and you can sync it to the mobile hotspot. They find each other. It's Bluetooth, and get your whole theater going. And you can get your little apps for your sports onto this Fire Stick, and your Netflix and your Hulus and everything, okay? That's Amazon Fire Stick. Once you get those things, you're in business with this boycott. You really ain't missed a beat. How about that? Okay, so Marguerite wants us to, and I saw Friday. What's up, Friday? Powerhouse Friday is on the live. I had to find her comments, but I saw her name. Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. Rita Forte. Oh, that's my girl. We were working Marianne Williamson. It's so sad she had to drop out. It is what it is, family. Has she got the numbers right? She'd have had 40 million strong, right, family? Hey, you got to get the numbers right. My people put me on code. I was trying to push it through. They were not having no 500 billion. And the truth of the matter is, family, we got to get that number right. We got to get that number right. We can't accept a little 500 billion.
15 trillion.
And no, it's more than that. It's more like, okay, listen, if they're sharing 100 trillion household dollars, all of it is ours. Let me help you understand that. It is our free haters, chattel slave labor that got them that wealth. We were the machines before the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
What they benefit from is ours. But we are loving people. I will settle on a cool 50 trillion multi-generation. That's my number. I don't care.
I like that number too, Mama.
We can get Darity's number, and I would be okay. But 50 trillion, I'd be willing to share. But that's because we are.
I love it.
Really do the whole 100 trillion. The white folks need to be on the bottom because we built this. Okay, let me stop. Y'all know how animated that could be. Don't get me riled up, family. Don't encourage me, okay?
No, I'm encouraging.
Marguerite says, stand up for the tenderloin. Stand for the tenderloin. And I don't know what the tenderloin is. Oh, Lord, what's the tenderloin? Okay, Ian, what happened with the 1866? Oh, we already went over that. We're not doing that one again. Oh, Lord, these comments are going faster. Okay, Marguerite says to stand up for tenderloin. Marguerite, chat that. I don't know what it is. Stand up for Boston, $8 net worth. Yeah. Marguerite, I'm going to have you on the show because you got too many topics you want to discuss, and we are out of time. We're over time. She wants us to talk about San Quentin. She wants us to talk about Skid Row here in LA. Marguerite, if you would be my friend, I can have you on the show. Inbox me, Angela Nirvana. Okay, and I'm going to have you on the show. I love her. She was so powerful. Wasn't she the one that did the social media conference?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, social media for social justice. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Margaret. Dr. Margaret Henricks, an amazing ADOS advocate, did an amazing job at the ADOS conference, presenting social media for social justice. That that was great. We actually have we have those those slides. So if anyone is interested in learning what Margaret taught, feel free to hit me up or hit one of us up, and I'm happy to and hit Margaret up too. I'm sure she's happy to share that information with you too.
Thank you so much for being on the live. I'd love to have you as a guest on my show, and we can all these topics you got for me over here. I'm out of time. Okay, so civil rights movement. I'm moving down. This now, family, if I don't get to your comment, trust, it's not me, it's technology. Y'all can be having 300 comments over on the Facebook side. I won't see them here. I'm doing my best. And this won't always be like this. We in the trenches. It's ADOS Life, family. This is in the budget, but more is coming. Stay tuned.
There are 100 comments on Facebook right now.
I got one. See, it won't be all that. Can you read them? Because I can you see them?
I can see some on Facebook. Some people are saying, "Hey, thanks for doing this." You know, what about ADOS who are in cages and prisons and mass incarceration? So, like, folks are, you know, also talking to each other too. You know, and you know, I think a lot of energy is around this. You know, Parchman and this. You know, this what we've seen over the last week or so from Mississippi. I think this is really resonating with people, and it underscores the need for a targeted Black agenda. Like, for sure.
And guys, only one thing I want to say before we end is that the last brother that spoke, that Angela and the brother that was like talking about Trump and how we don't need to have Trump in it, he couldn't even astound on why Trump was a bad candidate. The guy was just, I mean, either he was an agent, like an agent of chaos, like you said, or just unintelligent, ignorant. How can you get up there and say what you said without backing up any knowledge base? Just, I feel a certain type of way. I just can't get with that. I cannot go with it. If you are that fearful, just stay in the back. Watch what we do. Watch how we work. Do not get in our way. Just stay in the back. Stay out the way. You're not helpful.
And to Spencer's point, family, when are we going to stop being afraid? We are in the fight of our lives to prevent from becoming the permanent underclass in the country our ancestors built with their lives. When do you suggest, like I asked the host,
come on,
when do you suggest we stand up?
Right.
I need everybody to have a serious conversation with themselves and go into their prayer closets and grow a backbone.
Come on.
There was nothing that disgusted me more than when that brother was on that show. I love you, brother, but I gotta call you out. I don't know your name. You might be watching. I'm not really sure. I don't like mindless Black men. They can't all be in prison, okay? Right. They can't all be in prison. All the Panthers or the Pantheresque or the brothers that fight and go on the front lines to protect the women and the children, they can't all be in jail.
Come on.
You can't have me believe that they left a bunch of soft shoe twinkle toes out here.
They tried.
I'm looking at two right now, and I know many in this movement. I need the brothers and the sisters to stop being afraid and understand the stakes are high. Y'all know that song from back in the day? I'm telling you, the stakes are so high. And I think I'm so amped. One of the brothers, D.L. Hughley, producer, shout out to you. He wants to bring us on the show. He said, I was tired of folks talking about how passionate you are. The question is, why isn't everybody as amped as you?
Correct.
And I'm telling you, I'm amped because I'm a drama queen, if you haven't figured that out. That's part of it.
That ain't it.
But the other part to that is I've been studying.
That's right.
And the more you know, I'm telling you, the more you know, you can't not know, right? Like once you expose yourself to what's coming in your feed about your people being annihilated, about your people being sex trafficked,
come on.
You know they're going for poor Black girls and boys.
You know they are.
Picking them up, harvesting their organs. Do you understand we are at DEFCON 4? And I love what that brother said. Don't be patronizing with I love your passion. Why aren't you turned up? You know why you're not turned up? You know why you're not picking up a brick? Because you're not studying. You're not tuning in to Yvette and Tone. You're not reading these posts. I know it's a lot on your psyche. It's a lot to take on. Jesus wept. Yeah. But you need to open your eyes and stop this benign neglect and stop acting like you got the bag, because you don't. You don't have any wealth.
You don't.
And the way there's a difference between wealth and having money.
Come on.
If you living paycheck to paycheck, if you got a master's degree and you driving Uber, or you doing a DoorDash, or you working so many jobs you can't manage your children and they're left to the streets for your children to be nabbed by these pedophiles that live among you, then you need to pick up a brick and get in this movement and stop fooling with the agents of chaos.
Come on.
Who got nothing better to do than to play the dozens.
Come on.
Okay? The stakes are high. Grow a backbone. Trump ain't the worst of it. And that is, we got to bring the Democratic Party to their knees this election cycle, because we might not get another election cycle when they replace us and open up these borders.
Come on.
They're already giving them more entitlements and more benefits than even ADOS.
They asked them on the...
I'm sorry, go ahead, Spencer. Jump in. I'll take a sip.
No, because in the last Democrat debate, they asked Buttigieg, would you give them reparations, those immigrants in those prisons? Would you give them a paycheck and give them free health care? He was like, yeah. And then they asked him about reparations, and Buttigieg was like, well, I'm into studying it. No, that's not the answer. The answer is, of course. Man. And then when they asked Biden that same question. And he just deflected the whole question about reparations and went straight to the immigrants. If y'all do not understand what's going on now, if you do not get your mind correct now, you think the individual fight is hard now. It's gonna get that much worse going forward. Yeah. You better come together. You need to get behind this movement, because this is the only movement I've seen in my 32 years of living as an adult. Well, 32 years of living, 12 years as an adult. That I've seen that makes the most sense for all of us. It makes the most sense. And I'm tired of people trying to downplay what you guys have done, the knowledge bases you brought. I don't care what any other black leader has ever said. The only ones that are leading us are those in the ADOS community. I'm sorry. You can't tell me otherwise. Because let me say one more thing. I read one statistic.
10 more things. Okay, if you gotta go, Chris, I know you're important.
No.
Come on, this is rich.
Good. No, I'm here for it. I
read a New York. I love reading. I try to read as much as I can. I read a New York Times article that said, the reason why Biden is doing so well in the black community is because over the age of 45, black people have like 70% of all eligible vote, and under 45, in black, has 30% of all the vote. And I'm saying to myself, if the majority of the eligible black vote is over 45, that means black people are being hollowed out in the ages under 45. That means we are not expanding as a population; we are decreasing. And that means if we're not having any political power now or not getting anything from our vote now, we're definitely not going to get it in the future. Yeah. Do you guys understand that? I mean, I'm like you, baby, because you got to understand. The passion has to be there. The knowledge has to be there also. We have to articulate it. But if you're not going to understand this data, if you're not going to take the time to read it and comprehend what you are reading and then be able to articulate it to the next brother or sister, and I'm sorry, then again, keep living. And you're going to see just how hard that individual struggle is going to be. Okay?
And then weaponize the data, right? That's one thing that this movement has done. It's taught us how to weaponize the data. So it's one thing to know the data. It's another thing to understand the data, right? And then it's another thing completely to be able to weaponize it for actual political change in your real life, right? Yes. So, let's just talk a little bit about, some of the data, right? We've been talking fairly recently about the report that Dr. Darity and Antonio and a bunch of other great researchers did in 2017, 2018 called "Where Do We Go From?" Not where do we go from here? What we get wrong about closing the racial wealth gap, right?
Right.
And it lists 10 myths, right? And so here's how we weaponize that, right? When we go talk to politicians and they say, y'all don't need no reparations, all y'all need is more education. Let me cancel your student debt. Bam! Right. Is myth number one: greater education won't close the racial wealth gap. They say, well, okay, well, here's what you need. You need more home ownership. That's what you need. We're going to give you opportunity zone now. We say, bam. Wait a minute. Greater home ownership is not the driver of the racial wealth gap. Actually, they say, okay, well, Well, okay. Here's what you need. You need more financial literacy. That's what it is. You need to
Oh, okay.
learn how to manage your money more. We say, bam. No, actually, that's myth number 7. Greater financial literacy is not going to close the racial wealth gap, right? And then we say, actually, what is going to close the racial wealth gap? Reparations and a targeted Black agenda is going to close the racial wealth gap. So, in addition to knowing the data, understanding the data, learning how to weaponize it
Yes,
for
sir.
actual change is, that's politics 102, 103, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's one of the most powerful. I mean, this movement is powerful. One of the most powerful things that I've taken from it is that we are now better weaponizing this data to actually make change in real life.
Correct.
Amen to that. I can't thank you guys enough. There was one last thing I want to say. Well, y'all know my one last thing. I'm doing my best, family. I've got so much to say, and they shut me off on the show. They only gave me an hour. Who gives me an hour to talk? And I had to share. I had to let everybody else speak. I don't know how hard it is for me. Okay, the greatest trick the devil ever played is to make you think he did not exist.
Come on.
Not the Democratic Party, family. Biden has already said that he'd be open to running a Republican vice president.
Are you crazy?
He's kind of a Republican himself. I mean, to be honest,
I don't like a Republican.
Yeah.
Clinton, the Goldwater girl.
Barack Obama called himself a Republican. If you don't remember, Barack Obama in an interview, said, if you look at my policies, I would be called a moderate Republican. Those are literally his own words, right? So you're absolutely right, Angela.
So we don't need no more of that ever. I am. Look, man, I don't want no Republican-like candidate. I want you can be liberal, you can be Bernie, but I want a targeted Black agenda. I don't care about what you do to everybody else. You better have a targeted Black agenda if you want my vote ever.
You hear me? And so, family, we're encouraging to show up to vote down. I'm going to actually, you have to light that fire and confidence. I love the comments. Friday, I see you. Listen, what I'm gonna do, because if my love Chris, if he's seeing 100 comments, we ain't got that kind of time. My daughter's gonna be looking up, where is my mother's big mouth over here? Go at the track. So I'm gonna read the comments. I'm gonna reach out to a couple of you, Margaret, Friday, different people to be on this show that are just powerhouses at what they do. They need to come on the live so y'all can get to know them. I do this because you guys need to know who's really doing this groundwork. We got Yvette and Tone offering the education and that umbrella with their subscribership, with their outreach. That's their position. And stop telling Yvette not to come for these agents of chaos. You know why? Because that means I got to do it. Do I have time for that, family? Raising a 15-year-old? Do any of us who are doing this have time to do videos in defense of the ADOS movement? Let her protect this movement and leave her alone and stop. And furthermore, if you want her to stop sending her stuff. If you want her to stop addressing it, don't send her anything, because she also needs to prepare to politically educate us. And whenever they throw a chair and she throw a table, now that's one less show we got towards being educated, right?
Yes, right.
Okay. So with that said, we're going to sign off now. Who's my guest for next week? Y'all know y'all get it. I don't have time to look it up. But it's somebody. I think it's Republican Shirley Huzar. Woo, that's going to be fire. I think she's on the show next week. I'll get with y'all, family. And y'all better tune in and don't throw rocks. She's ADOS. And let me tell you something. Reparations is a nonpartisan issue. This is a linear thing, not a party thing. So, and truth be told, shout out to Shirley Huzar. She was the one to ask me to come on to Fox Soul with ADOS LA.
Shirley.
My pastor had to come to Jesus meeting with me because we had some issues down here. It's a few bumps. Chris already knows. I'm not going into it. It's over. I love you, ADOS LA. I'm healing. Anyway, I'm forgiving. Anyway, I didn't want to go. My pastor said yes. So Shirley Huzar, Republican, got us on that show. And she's got some other surprises in the works that I cannot speak about. But it might mean a weekly show for me, Friday herself, to get on there and talk Black civics and Black politics. I'm just going, that's all I can give you. Yeah, that's going to be power for the ADOS movement. And Shirley rocks for us strong, and she's been in the trenches with both ADOS, SoCal, and LA. Okay, so nothing but love for her. Make sure you tune in. With that said, family, I want to thank my kings. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your leadership, for your strength, for your love of your people. It means more to me than I have the words to convey. I run out of words when it comes to the love I feel for the ADOS movement and ADOS people, right? Like, it just gets me, punches me in the feel goods. Thank you, Spencer, for being ready. Thank you, Chris, for your leadership. Just,
Appreciate
I
you,
love
Andy.
y'all, and I love y'all strong. And I'm going to say a quick prayer. I know we've got some atheists, but you guys know I'm a licensed teacher in my faith. I know I curse like a sailor sometimes, but God knows who she created. She knows who I am. And hey, it is what it is, because you guys are all the face of God. God can get none of this work done but through you.
Yes,
And we
ma'am.
got different approaches to this, but when I see you, I see the face of God, and that's real. So if you are atheists or don't like faith or spirituality, you can exit the live right now, but it's imperative for me to put a covering over the ADOS people at large and a covering over this movement. And so with that said, I want to say that the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God is. And so it is, family. Until next week, we may have a midweek show because I want to bring Spencer in to drill down some more on Parchman. You make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your Saturday. Peace and love, family.
Peace, family.
Peace.
Great.